Welcome to my channel. My name's Bissy and I think it's about time we got to know Gabriella. Now I'm changing up the format of my videos for this one just because we don't have nearly enough footage of Gabriella just yet. So for anyone who hasn't seen my reaction videos, hi! So showrunner Roland Jones explained the name change from Gabrielle in the novel to Gabriella, which she will be known as in the show. And I respect that the show has amended her name just ever so slightly to show that she is so independent, and I can't wait to meet her. But I may use Gabrielle and Gabriella interchangeably. I'm still getting used to calling her Gabrielle, so please forgive me if I do. I've broken down a list of what are, in my opinion, Gabrielle's most important aspects from her history, just so we can get to know her a little bit more before the show. And if you'd like to jump to any specific sections, we have Gabriella's human life, her turning, her unconventional relationship with Lestat, her gender identity, and the ultimate abandonment of Lestat. Now, I won't be giving away everything from the novel as we just don't know exactly what we're going to get from the show. So if you are enjoying my videos, please let me know by hitting like on this video and subscribing. And if you'd like to support me and what I'm doing here at the channel, please do think about joining my Clean Club. You get loads of perks, like all of my Sunday uploads early as soon as they're done, and there are loads of other perks that are just for you. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's get into the video. So who is Gabriella? So I think we should start with Gabrielle's relationship with Lestat as a human. Now, Gabriella was born in Naples, but married a French marquis when she was very young, around 15, we think. Showrunner Roland Jones says she's Italian and she hated being in France. She's a very, very smart woman, taken out of a place at a very early age and stuck in a cold, weird place. She hadn't adapted to French life, and we thought it was very simple, that she just held on to whatever a woman could hang on to back then. Even if she was 15, maybe she had her first couple of years as Gabrielle. But somewhere, very quickly into the marriage, she's like, call me Gabriella. Lestat, the youngest of 3 surviving children, had a great and unshakable love for his mother. He particularly loved that she never said anything ordinary. She didn't laugh very often, but she had a sweetness to her like a little girl. She also had a way of cutting Lestat off when he spoke. I mean, Lestat loved her. He loved her really deeply. But that love was mingled with resentment. She, Gabriella, was the only one in her family who could read and write. And she would sit and write in Italian to her family back in Italy. And Lestat would look on with resentment. Now, here's a little bit of a story time just to encapsulate what their relationship was like as mother and son. So Gabriella was absolutely never overt with her affections for him. It was always very subtle. So when Lestat was 16, a theatre troupe from Italy came to town, well, the next village. And Lestat was absolutely enamoured of the actress who played Isabella. So Lestat ran away, and he ran away to join this troupe. The troupe let him play the part of Lelio, and he absolutely loved it. He found himself. He was going to be an actor. And he was in love. He was in love with Isabella. And Isabella actually took his virginity as well. And he stayed in her arms that night and stayed over. But the next day he awoke and the entire troupe was gone. And in their place were his brothers. And they took him back to their home and beat him mercilessly. It was awful. And the mistake he made is that he didn't tell Gabriella that he was leaving. But she was the one who put an end to the punishment. One night at dinner, they were all sat there in silence, and she is the one who sat next to him and spoke to him. Now, this is the most subtle of actions, especially from a mother to a son, but it meant the absolute world to Lestat. But after this incident, Lestat did grow colder. He grew a little bit crueler after this, and I don't blame him. So that leads us on to Gabriella's turning. Now, the circumstances of Gabriella's turning are very closely linked with Nikki. Now, at the time, Lestat was a brand new vampire. He didn't have his maker to show him the ropes like he did with Louis. And he was so intrinsically linked to his human life. With his newfound wealth, he sent money back to Nikki and to his brothers and their families. He also sent money back to Gabriella, of course. And this was all done via Rosier the First, who took care of everything logistically for Lestat. Now, Lestat's idea was that Gabriella would take this money and travel back to southern Italy, where she could convalesce and hopefully recover, because at this time she was suffering really badly from consumption. Gabriella wrote to Lestat. Her letters were brimming with happiness at my good fortune, and she promised to go to Italy in the spring, if only she could get the strength to do it. Right now, she wanted books from Paris, of course, and newspapers, and sheet music for the harpsichord I'd sent. Nicky had sadly taken to drinking too much and refused to go back to the theatre. He roamed the streets and ended up in really dangerous situations. Lestat had to do something, but he didn't know what exactly. He knew that if Nicky didn't leave Paris, he would lose him forever. Lestat makes a plan with Rosier for Nicky to accompany Gabriella to Italy, but unfortunately the plan will never ever come to fruition, as Gabriella is just too sick. Lestat is devastated and just cannot comprehend a world without his mother in it. He remembers the method that Magnus used to change him and resolves to bestow this gift onto her to save her life. Now, as Lestat's very first fledgling, Gabriella took to vampirism incredibly well. Like, amazingly well. She exhibits the fire gifts straight away on her very first night by lighting some candles. And Lestat sees her as physically perfect now, all evidence of her illness completely erased. And he saw that her body had even changed, and her hair seemed to be alive, billowing softly around her. Oh, so Lestat. Looking at her, as if for the very first time, Lestat says, "Gabrielle." That was the only name I could call her now. "Gabrielle," I said to her, never having called her that, except in some very private thoughts. And I saw her almost smile. Gabriella wanted to hunt immediately. She says, "But help me now. I want to see you do it." And after she fed, she didn't want to return back to the tower, and a dizzying night followed. But the death spasms did catch up to her, like they did to Louis. Lestat took Gabriella home and waited for it to pass, and once it had, he says, and when her death was finished, she was unstoppable. He went on to say, it was as if she did not believe that she would live forever. Rather, she thought she had been granted this one night of supernatural vitality, and all things should be known and accomplished before death would come for her at dawn. Lestat really worries that Gabriella won't make it through the night, as he remembers the disappointments he saw piled up from Magnus. But Gabriella absolutely surprises him by demonstrating the cloud gift when he awakes the next night. A truly formidable fledgling. Now that follows very nicely into the next topic, which is for me the very uncomfortable relationship between Lestat and Gabriella. Now this era is really uncomfortable for me to speak about. It was even uncomfortable for me to reread it as I was preparing for this video, so please do bear with me and I will do my best. Now, as soon as Lestat turns Gabriella, he seems to reframe her in his mind, almost immediately. She's no longer his mother, and he is no longer her son. She's something else completely. And although I said her name over and over to make it natural, she wasn't really Gabrielle to me yet. She was simply she, the one I had needed all my life, with all my being, the only woman I had ever loved. So on the night of her turning, Gabriella encourages Lestat to break into her home so she can locate some new clothes, and she does. Lestat helps her dress into a pink velvet gown, and standing there, she looked at herself in the glass. I went to kiss her, and again she didn't stop me. We were lovers kissing. And that was the picture we made together. White-faced lovers. Woof! So after that dizzying first night as Mako and Fledgling, Lestat lays Gabriella down in her coffin. Looking down at her, he cut into his own tongue and let the blood drip down onto her lips. The blood flowed into her opening mouth, and slowly she lifted her head to meet my kiss. My tongue passed into her. Her lips were cold. My lips were cold, but the blood was hot, and it flowed between us. Yep. However, the novel doesn't explicitly describe an intimate sexual relationship between the two of them. It never actually goes as far as that. But to me, the nature of their hunting almost is like a substitute for that. And that's maybe as far as they were willing to go in the 80s. And I think now, I don't know. But it screamed substitute for me. That's just my interpretation. Now, I think the show will be showing some form of this relationship. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to depict it, but I think it will be equally as challenging, if not word for word from the book. So I'm so interested to find out how they're going to do it, and I'm even more interested to find out what you guys have to say about it. Is it just me? Am I too delicate for this kind of thing? I don't know, but let me know. I'm excited to find out. So another really important part of Gabriella's identity that I think it's important to highlight here is her gender identity. Now, on the very first night of her making, I mean, a lot happened on that night, so we are digging right into it. So on the very first night of her making, she seems to target an innocent victim. Now, Lestat is perplexed as to why she is doing this, and he wondered whether Gabriella was just more natural at this than he could ever be. But it turned out that Gabriella turned this specific man because of the fit of his clothes, and they would fit her perfectly. She removes the pink gown that Lestat had helped her into and changes into this man's clothes, and immediately she is herself. She is the self that she's always wanted to be. And to describe it more truly, as she put on the garments, she became the boy. Gabriella says to Lestat, "But there's no real reason for me to dress that way anymore, is there?" "No, of course there isn't," Lestat replies. She was not really a woman now, as he was no longer a man. Back at the tower, Gabriella takes out some gold scissors that she had taken from the home where they got the pink gown from. She begins to cut off most of her hair, much to Lestat's dismay. But as Lestat laid her down in her new coffin, with her short blonde hair framing her face, she looked so much like a boy. She looked at peace. However, the next day, Gabriella screamed. She screamed as she realised that all of that hair that she had just cut off had grown back. She twists and she turns and she panics, trying to get away from her own hair, and Lestat holds her and tries to calm her and tells her that he will cut that hair off every night if he has to and if that's what it takes. Gabriella later goes on to say that Lestat is actually the man in her. And it's really interesting because Anne Rice herself described Lestat, the character, as the man she always wanted to be. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it's so interesting. And a very astute commenter mentioned that Gabriella, as she's depicted in the Vampire Lestat that we've seen so far, in modern day, looks very much like Anne Rice herself. I mean, her hair, that awesome bob, that jacket that she's wearing in front of that club with Lestat, gorgeous. And I can see the parallels really, really directly, and I do wonder whether that's a nod from the showrunners to the late Anne Rice. And if it is, I think that's brilliant. I think that's so brilliant, and I cannot wait to meet Gabriella. And finally, we have Gabriella's abandonment of Lestat, or should I say what Lestat takes as abandonment. Now, Gabriella and Lestat stay together for close to a decade. They endure Paris and Armand. They travel the globe together, and after Lestat learns of Nicky's passing, Gabriella stays close by. Before this point, she had taken to leaving for weeks, months even, at a time on her solo travels. Lestat can feel that she's staying in one place out of some sort of obligation to him. She's staying there for him. He is grieving, and she can see this, but nonetheless, Lestat can feel that she wants to leave. She lived in Naples, London and Rome as a child with her father, and as an immortal being, she really couldn't stand to stay in one place. But fortunately for her, they were in Egypt when they learned of Nicky's fate, and Gabriella seems energized by Cairo. Lestat muses, maybe people had to be 6,000 years old for her to love them. They hunt together, they visit brothels together. I mean, Gabriella sits and watches Lestat dance. I mean, it's all a distraction, as they rarely speak to each other anymore. Lestat can absolutely feel that she wants to leave, and she is about to leave him. But Gabriella tries her hardest. I mean, she dresses more femininely to please him. She even brushes her hair, which is a rare occurrence for her in those days. She even keeps the letters from Rosier containing the fate of their family back in Paris from Lestat to protect him. She endures his temper, and we all know that Lestat has a temper, he always has. And she finally asks him to come with her, to leave with her. She doesn't want to leave him, but she can't stay in this place any longer. She knew that he wouldn't come with her, but she did admire the way that he pursued the life that he wanted, and it was time for her to do the same. Gabriella implored Lestat to just compromise and maybe come with her for just a while. Gabriella says, "Lestat," she said slowly, "I am asking you to try, only once, to move through the world as I do." Lestat responds, "You are saying you will leave me forever if I don't." "I can't, and you know it. I can't do it any more than you can stay with me." Lestat knew that this was it. She will say her goodbye, and I can't prevent it. How would we ever find each other again? Lestat loses it and grabs her really tight, and they both cry, which was really strange for them. They had never done that together. Gabriella then kisses Lestat on the lips and pulls away from him. "Promise me you will never seek to end it," she said, "without first being with me, without coming together again." Lestat responds, "I will never seek to end it, so you have my promise." Lestat then asks Gabriella to let him know at least where she's heading, but he knows that she won't. He cannot imagine her writing a letter, putting a stamp on it and going to the post office like a mortal would do. She won't do that anymore. Gabriella is actually afraid for Lestat at this point. She's afraid for his need for love, and she's afraid of his loneliness. Gabriella says, "I love you, my son. And quite suddenly, I knew this was our last moment. I knew it, and I could do nothing to change it. Gabrielle." But she was already gone. How Lestat and Gabriella will reunite in season 3 of Interview with the Vampire Lestat, I do not know, but I cannot wait to find out. Will she be there from the beginning? Will we suddenly see her appear right at the end? I think they're going to spend some time together, because we've seen some clips with them in modern day while he's being Rockstar Lestat. But I would love to know what you're most looking forward to with getting to know Lestat's mother and his relationship with her. What is the most interesting part of Gabriella's character that you're excited to learn about? Let me know if I've left anything important out about Gabriella. And if you've liked this video, let me know by hitting subscribe for more like it. I've also been reacting to Heated Rivalry, so do check that out too. And if you'd like to support me and my channel, please do think about joining my Clean Club. It's a small amount every month, but it would mean the world to me if you did. And you get lots of extra perks like early access to videos and chats with me. It's great. Thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you down there in the comments. But until then, thanks, bye!